Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be making a distressed sign for our cemetery fence based on one we saw at Highgate Cemetery in London on a recent trip. For this sign, I'm using a 1/4 inch piece of MDF for the base. I coated it in Mod Podge and allowed it to dry. Once the Mod Podge is dry, take white spray paint and coat the entire piece. Then, take an ivory spray paint and add patches of color to give the appearance of slight discoloration. You can take a heat gun or hairdryer to your parts to help speed up the drying process. But if using a heat gun, be sure to keep it at a safe distance so you don't blister your paint. Next up is an old favorite, kosher salt. Randomly sprinkle salt around the edges of the sign base. These are areas that will be masked from the paint in the next step. Once you're happy with the placement, coat your sign in rust-colored paint. This coat doesn't have to be solid, since we're trying to create variation across the piece. Next, take a light yellow, I'm using Rust-Oleum Summer Squash, and again create small patches of color. If you've gone too heavy, alternate back to the rust color until the desired look is achieved. Now that everything's dry, it's time to remove the salt. Grab a brush and remove as much of the salt as possible to expose the base paint. To create more depth, I'm going to apply a second layer of salt and another dusting of spray paint. This process is very forgiving, and you can add as few or as many passes with salt and paint until you reach the right look. Apply a quick layer of clear coat to seal in your color. Next up, I'm going to apply a stencil that I created with my vinyl cutter. Once the stencil is set, I'm going to take some matte black spray paint to fill in the design. This coat doesn't have to be very opaque, since we're trying to create the look of natural aging, which typically includes fading. Now you can remove the stencil to expose your lettering. I had a bit of overspray, but we'll be able to fix that with one last bit of salt and some additional dusting of the rust and yellow spray paints. As an added touch of realism, find some old screws and add them to the corners of your sign. This will also give us a place to add some rust streaks. To add those rust streaks, you'll need some burnt orange acrylic paint, a small amount of water, a spray bottle of water, and a small paintbrush. We're going to wet down the surface of our sign to help break the surface tension and create a path for our orange paint to drip down. You'll still want to thin your paint in a cup of water so that it will run down the sign to create rust streaks. Add streaks both above and below the screw heads, being sure to get some of the paint into the crevices of the screw head. Once you've got it looking the way you want, allow it to dry and give it a final spray with clear coat. That's going to be it for this tutorial. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell to be alerted to the next time I put out a video. Until next time, happy haunting!